Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So I am here on this hangout on Friday night, and I don't know if people are going to listen to it or not, but I wanted to talk about, eventually talk about rent control and how they're trying to work on that issue in Southern California, especially this Los Angeles region. Um, so before I get into that, I wanted to talk on other topics. I noticed that there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of arguing back and forth with some popular name people. And I wanted to stop for a moment here because apparently there's a lot of anger, a lot of frustration because there's certain people who are music artists in the hip hop world that people are now extremely upset with because I have to be honest, the person has been very derogatory. They've put out multiple videos where they've pretty much cussed folks out and threatened people. And they made some open confessions about what they were going to do or what they have done to people in their past. Okay, so that's either here or there. So I was listening to a few of the videos, but I didn't listen to the entirety of the videos because a lot of the videos are angry. Um, and it's speaking straight from anger, and then there's the race thing that goes involved with it. And so someone had mentioned the word mestizo, and I'm full aware of what mestizo is, and that could be a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds. That does not necessarily mean somebody that is only European or mixed with only European. That can also mean someone who is African. There is Afro Latinos. There are a lot of people in the Latin country that are of African descent, and there's a lot of racism in the Latin America. And so a lot of these people who are angry over here, they're not from Latin America. Some of them are from Latin America and they've experienced so much racism over there and they've been used to the American culture. So they've also jumped on board of the bandwagon of getting angry because they know what the culture is out there and the climate of racism because there's a lot of racism in Latin America. A lot of times there's denial of people in Latin America who are of African descent, and those who can pass for something other than African or African descent or Afro Latino, a lot of those people will go for the lighter hue, or you've seen it in telenovelas. A lot of the actors and actresses look or appear to be more European, more Spanish. Spaniard is like the highest in terms of hierarchy. It's like a totem pole, and the darker skin, you're at the lower of the or lower end of the totem pole. The lighter skin, the whiter, the more Spaniard, the more closer to European, you're at the top of the totem pole. So there's a hierarchy rank. And so if you read the history about Latin America, a lot of black slaves were put in Latin countries. At one while, they were going to put a lot of African peoples in the Latin countries. And so a lot of people are very angry and they're very ignorant because they don't read anything. And even if they read, they don't care because they're just speaking from strict anger. And so, um, let's see here. I know you're going to see what I'm doing. Okay. Uh, Some people who are from the Latin countries, they already probably know what I'm doing. But those who aren't don't know what I'm doing at all. They're like, what the heck is she doing? Okay. I want you to see these images right here. So, since everybody's so color struck on Latinos and they claim that there's no black Latinos, and there's a lot of ignorance here in the American states about black Latinos. There are black Latinos. This is an Afro Mexico images on Pinterest, Mexicans that have black history and African history in Mexico or Mexico. Mexico officially recognizes 1.38 million Afro Mexicans in the national census as Black peoples. And so you can clearly see people. Look at her right here. She's got a little more darker hue than Cardi, but and these are Black people in the Latin countries. That's basically what I'm saying. Now look at her. She looks a little more like she could be closer to Cardi's color, but she still has African descent in her. In her, look at these people. Just take a look at the people, y'all. You can see it. You can see it is there. Some it shows up a lot more, and others it may not show up as much. But these people are have an mixed phenotype that you would still consider black. You can tell it is there. And so to be so ignorant here in the States, look at these women. All of them are Afro Mexicano or Mexicano. So it does exist in those countries. And so I'm going to do something here because um, blacks are not only in Mexico, they're in the Dominican Republic. Okay. And so you can see this. It's even deeper. The hues are there. It is there. There are blacks. Dominican Republic, the people of color that say they are not black, but they are black people, but they just are not from the American culture, so they don't call themselves black. Because here in the States, we've allowed the government to give us names, people. You don't read your history. That is the reason why some of those people will not accept the term black. Not because they don't want to be who they are, because of the stigma behind it in American culture. There's a lot of racism here in America. There's a lot of hatred towards people that are quote unquote black folks. So that is why some of these people, although we know that they have the African descent, we know that they're African people, we know that they're from a different culture. Some of us are learning that. Some of us don't really understand. We see them as Black people, but they don't quote unquote call themselves the word Black. That doesn't mean they aren't African. Okay, that's what it means. Latino leaders plead. Okay, this is out of Huffington Post. Stop humanitarian crisis in Dominican Republic. Latino leaders plead. They have problems in their country, just like any other country. They have racism. They face poverty. I am not African. Afro descendants in Dominican Republic. A lot of them will say they're not born from Africa. They're not African, but they are Afro descent or descendants of African people. Okay, so they have a different culture. 50 years of cutting cane may not be enough to keep Dominican Republic from deporting you. So they have problems in their country. Why do Brazilians seem to embrace their African roots and Dominicans and Puerto Ricans seem to? See, there's a lot of culture problems in those countries. Having to, some people don't want the stigma of the quote unquote calling yourself black. Some of them will be darker than the people you see here in the States, and they will say, I'm not black. I've heard this from Belize people that are here in America to say that because they're not from the same culture, they didn't grow up here, or if they grew up here, they don't have the same cultural background or they don't have the same stigma. They don't want to be behind that same stigma that kind of follows people in a way, the negativity that goes on here in the States. We talk about all of the racism here in America, all of the problems, all of the Jim Crow, all of the historical problems that have happened with people from American culture that happen to be quote unquote black, which is a government name that has been labeled to folks here. And so these people don't want that label on them, even though once they come here, when they get locked up and go to jail, they're not going to go to jail with people that look lighter skinned. Hell no. And even Cardi B, they're not going to put her in a jail with Mexican women. They're going to put her in a jail with women that look more closer to her culture or are about her culture or look probably a mix of whatever that is, that's in her background. And so that's the reason why some of these people harbor racism. Yes, they can be racist, believe it or not. You can have people that look the same skin tone as these people and come here and they look the same as black people you see here, and they really are people. They really are. But because of the racism that they face in that country and then come here to face it here, they choose not to. And sometimes they harbor racism within their own heart. It's the same self hate that we have here with black people who claim that they want to marry white people or they want to move out and they want to be someone else. It's the same thing, but only it's just people from another culture, another country coming here and they inflict their self-hate on other people who are already here. That's where that comes from. So if that's what you're referring to, some of you people that are talking about the entertainers in the hip hop world who have recently done that, that's probably where it comes from. But you can clearly see now, this right here, the guy that we just saw, he's Louis Gates, I think that's what his name is. He's basically one that goes around and talks about people's DNA and all that kind of stuff. He's not actually who I'm talking about. But these people, they're Dominicans of Haiti descent, and they're losing their citizenship as the nation reinstates an old blah, 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 probably. It's in a whole nother article. These people face a lot of problems in their country, y'all. Okay, the images about Dominican Republic, you can see these people are black. Watch Black Sugar, a documentary about modern day slavery in the Dominican Republic. Okay, there are black people in these Latin countries. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Okay, okay. Black culture, Dominican Republic, falling Haitian labor. There's so many problems, political problems in those countries as well as there is in the States. Black in Latin America. That's what this guy, he did a documentary about that. I'm going to click back to him. This guy right here, Black in Latin America. This man right here did a documentary about that. So any of you people who are out there arguing and fighting, talk about, oh, she's not black. Oh, her father, they look white. They look like white people. You've seen a lot of black people who can pass it for some other culture, and a lot of times for the convenience and to not have to go through the racism. Think about it. If you look lighter, if your eyes were brighter, some people may say, oh no, I'm going to qualify as black, but a lot of people that are on there that are angry, more than likely, they would probably try to write down white or they try to write down other because they want to not have to go through the stigma of the racism that we face here in America as people that are of color or black people, that label that the government, of course, has given us. Because throughout history, they've given us different names. But it wasn't Negro, people of color, colored, and now black. And every one of them has some kind of negative connotation behind it. That is the reason why some people don't want those labels on their head. But we're very accepting of every label or every term they give us here. And people don't understand that. And so some of these people know where that comes from because they face so much racism in their own country. So if you're black, get out the crisis of statelessness in Dominican Republic. Look at these people, y'all. These people are black folks, yes, but they won't probably won't call themselves black. They're African. Some of them, they're African descent. Yes, the same thing that happened here. That's the whole part of the diaspora. They placed Africans in all these different countries. Yes, in America and in Latin America as well. And this is what you end up with. And then when they have babies with somebody, let's say that one of these women has babies with somebody that's maybe a lighter skinned, Dominican guy or whatever, then her kid's probably going to come out looking like, some of the entertainers that you see that want to claim that they're something else. And so some of these people can make fun of black people here in the States because they face racism where they're at, and then they have self hatred, and so they spew their self hatred on the other folks. And so I'm not discounting that. I'm not saying that that doesn't happen, but that's basically what I'm saying. That's where that comes from. Now, see, these are people, they're African descendants in Dominican Republic, Afro Dominicans. Look at them. This girl right here, she looks like the hip hop artist that a lot of people kind of hate. She has that same skin tone and that same hair texture. So, all you people, and guess what? Let's look at mestizo because somebody was talking about that. Mestizo is not even African. Yes, it can be. It's a mix of something, basically, is what it is. So mestizo, it's defined as a person of mixed racial or ethnic ancestry. You could be anybody could be mestizo if they're of mixed ancestry. Many people today are not one race of anything. There are a lot of people that are mix of different culture or different background or different nationalities or different. They can speak different language. They are a mix of different races. And sometimes some things show up more evident than others. And whatever people see you as phenotypically, that's usually the easiest thing people will go with. But that doesn't discount that you could possibly have German in your family. You could have Irish in your family. You could have, somebody that is from Asia Asian in your family. There are black people that have Asian, you know, descendants. And sometimes you see all the black, yeah, you see them as black people, but they may have the eyes or they may have something different about the hair or something like that. But that doesn't mean that they aren't people that are of color. And so that's just ignorance. There's a lot of ignorant people that are angry basically because they don't like this one person because she gets on Instagram, she gets on her social media, and she says mean and hateful things. But the more that you feed into that, the more energy you give her. She's a very negative individual, and eventually she'll cancel herself out because she's going to put her foot in her mouth and say the wrong thing, and eventually she's losing interest of the public. She's lost a lot of interest of some people. But you got to let that take its course. The more you keep spouting off about this individual, that's the more they're going to keep coming back at you with something else crazy and ridiculous. And so I wouldn't give the person the time of day. So basically, that's what I'm saying. But anyway, let's go on and I'll just do this real quick. But mestizo is a person of mixed racial or ethnic ancestry, especially in Latin America, of mixed American Indian, European descent, or Philippines, or mixed native or foreign descent, or any other. They could be a mix of any other. Mestizo, there are mestizo restaurants, there are mestizo people in Louisiana, there are mestizo people that are everywhere. You know, there are mixed people everywhere. And so it just doesn't make any sense, y'all. All this arguing is unnecessary. And yeah, I still think the person that we're talking about or that I'm talking about, yeah, she's still black, whether you like her or not. And she doesn't like herself. That's the problem. She doesn't feel confident about herself. Anytime somebody has to go and get something altered about their body, there's an insecurity with how they look. You know, for them to go in the business that they were going into, they had to go and get some surgery done. They also were feeding into some of the comments that people were making about how their teeth look. So they had to get surgery done with that. So right away, you already know this person has some self issues where they feel insecure about themselves. So the more you keep saying all this stuff about her, the more she's going to spout back at you. You know, if she's not all that, then why are you wasting time with her? You know, that's what I'm saying to those people who are putting so much energy into this individual. But yes, there are black people in these Dominican Republic, all of them, Mexico, all of them, Guatemala. Let's go to Guatemala. Let's go to Guatemala. Let's look at what the black people look like there. Okay, because people just don't understand. You know, it's so sad. Um, and I may not even be. Yeah, okay, so it helps me. Look at the black people in Guatemala. Okay, look at this. This is Guatemala. This is another Latin country. Garafuna's endangered culture. These are Guatemalan people. Look at this. And Garifuna, by the way, has a little something to do with Belize. But look at these people. You know that they're African descent. Yes, we know that. But a lot of times they'll come here, some of them say, I'm not black. I'm not black. Look at it. But they are. Look at this. You can see it, people. And then you have some people who they might get passed for something else. Look at this girl right here. You know, okay, look. Just take a good look here. Look at that. Yes, those people are part of us as well. And so people don't want to believe that. They want to think, oh, we're only one thing, and that's ignorance. And we're not. Everybody somehow is a part of one another. All this fighting, look, this guy right here, he's a black Guatemalan soccer player. He's Latino. Okay, he's African American in Latino world, but he goes for African American, but he's Guatemala, black Guatemalan. So look at this. You know, these people are all a part of us as well. Even though you'll have some people that are from those, they look a little different, but they'll say, oh, I'm not black. I'm not like you guys. But they have African, some have more African, that shows up in them than others. So it's there. Even the hateful ones, even the ones that look like they could pass for something else, like this little girl right here, it says she's Guatemalan Salvadorian. There's Guatemalan Salvadorian in Mexico. It says beautiful mixed kids. These are mixed. She's a mixed child. Okay, and maybe when she grows up, she'll embrace her culture. Now, this is bad image right here. This is a horrible image of the gang mentality that goes on in these countries, which it's very prevalent, and it's prevalent here in the states as well. So it's not a big deal. So anyway, these are other pictures that are unrelated. But let me see. What was the person's family? What one said Dominican, we went to Dominican, and then the other one was what, Caribbean? Let's not get into that, y'all. Oh, Trinidad. Trinidad. Yeah, I heard that word. Trinidad. Nothing but black people out there, y'all. That's what you're gonna see in Trinidad. The Trinidadian descent. That's what you're gonna find. Veteran Trinidad, Calypsonian. That's the music they live. A lot of calypso. Famous Trinidad and Tobago people or people from there are Trinidadian people that are African here called African American because they put those labels on us, the government. But that doesn't tell you the cultures. Trini Indian wedding. Okay, look at this: East Indian, milk seller, Trinidadian. So there's a mix of culture out there in Trinidad. Look at this. It could vary. He's Trinidadian as well. These people are Trinidadian. It's an older, they're three East Indian women and they're laborers in Trinidad. So this was like a historical picture. But this man is Trinidadian. He's an actor. I've seen him in many movies. These people are Trinidadian. They're Carib women. This is, I guess, some historical. And who is she? We know who she is. She, black people, Trinidad and Tobago pictures, okay, that have some Trinidadian descent, or they've somehow been recognized from that culture. And look, there's another family. So look, Afro Bella, look, there's a whole mix in this family. Look at that. Some look lighter, some look darker. Everybody is not one way. This is a Trinidadian carnival. These are men in a picture here. They're performing because, like in Trinidad and the Caribbean islands, they have these carnivals, and they happen like every year, and they wear these beautiful costumes that are like kind of tribal costumes, but they perform in the costumes. Some people may know more about the that than I do, what to call those costumes, but I can tell you some about it because there are people in my family that are from Trinidad. There are people in my family that are from El Salvador. There are people in my family that are from Jamaica. There are people in my family that are from the South. There are people in my family that are yeah, and I'm gonna say it. They're white, and so there is nobody is of one race. You might look more one thing and you might just call yourself on your whatever your application, oh, I'm just black, but that doesn't mean that you don't have other races or other things in your family tree that are part of you. So people are just really being really ignorant. Okay, so this is Nigerian. Okay, Nigerian. So the thing is some people are just really militant right now. Black Power in Trinidad. That was out there in Trinidad. They recognize that they're black people, and some people don't want to say it, but they are. They know who they are. Some people know who they are. Some people don't want to say who they are. So they say there's also problems in Trinidad. There's racial divides. Indians and blacks sometimes get in fights, over skin color, over who's better. What isn't that the same thing that happens here in the States? And then there's a lot of people that are mixed with it. They have that culture in them. They got a parent that might be Indian Trinidadian, and then a parent that might be Afro Trinidadian. So they got a little bit of all of it. So look at these people. This is a movement in Trinidad and Tobago. It says it's Black Power. These people know who they are. Look at this, black in Trinidad and Tobago. Some people look lighter, some people look darker. So what? So people need to really get out of here with all of that. It's just really that's what you call mestizo. And look who this is. I know you know who this actress is. She's Trinidadian descent. This is Nia Long. Who doesn't know her? She's in like all of the popular movies. You're not gonna say, oh, she ain't black. She ain't black. So you guys are really sad, out there fighting with people because that's what they want you to do. The racist people like to see us divided and fighting about dumb stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna go into this right here real quick because I'm actually looking for something that I had earlier. Let me see. I'm gonna see here. I'm gonna go back into the pictures and I'm gonna go through it and show all of the pictures of these people that you guys think are not black or whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna do a snippet and go back through it because I don't know if you really saw it. So let's see. Let's go back through what I was looking at because some people may not have seen what I was searching for. Okay, so I'll go back into it. It was Trinidad. Okay, so these are people. who are Trinidad, and I was gonna go. I just went to the images because I thought it was the easiest thing to do. Trinidad. Sorry. I don't know. It's just bad people. Okay. Okay. Let's go through it. All right. All right. Now, I know you know who this person is. Okay. He was on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He's Alfonso. He's Trinidadian, you know, and these are people that are Trinidadian, okay? And then they have issues. I know you know who these people, they have Trinidadian descent. These people, you're not going to say, oh, they're not black. This is the one that I was talking about. If you didn't see it, Black Power in Trinidad, okay? So there were students who vented their feelings during the funeral procession. So this was Black Power in Trinidad, okay? So these people know who they are. This is a Trinidadian or Trini Indian wedding. These people, look at them, okay? Just take a look. This is Trinidad. And I was mentioning the carnival. These are people who are also Trini people, Trinidadian people, Caribbean people. They come in all different colors, all different hues. The island is very beautiful, but okay. So now I'm gonna get off of that. Now let's go into the Dominican Republic because I don't think um, people saw that, and if you didn't, I'm going back over it because some people apparently think there are no blacks in these countries. And so that's because they don't travel outside of their neighborhood. Here in the States, they're in like one little neighborhood or their hood, and they don't travel outside of that. And so they think everybody is just here in America and that's it. No, only black folks in America and that's it. That's what they think. That's really what they think. So, okay. All right, so these are going to be images of black people that are in. This is the guy that I was talking about who he does a documentary. It's called Black in Latin America. So if anybody recognizes him, these are Dominican people, Haitian and Dominican mix. Different people some look darker, some look lighter. And a lot of these people, they know who they are. And some have lighter color eyes, some darker skin, some lighter skin, some brown skin. There's different color people. And this girl right here, I was pointing to, says she looks like the popular person that people are not that jazzed about. Look at her hair texture, look at her skin color. I mean, she could say, oh, I'm not black. She could say that. But it, people, she has it in her. It's there. Let's just be honest, it's there. She might can say, "Oh, I'm not black," but we can see, we're not stupid. These people, what race are Dominicans considered to be? So that was a core question because people look at, you have some that are darker, some that are lighter. And so, and look, some people look darker, some people look lighter. They have lighter hair, maybe lighter eyes, but they have African blood in their African descent. Okay, so look, racism, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Black Lives Matter, they have problems in those countries, y'all. There's lots of, look, Blanco, Indo, Obscurio, look, white, dark. Look, my struggles as a Black American in Dominican Republic, they have problems there. Black in Latin America, Haiti, Dominican Republic. There's lots of documentaries and talk about this. So I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I know probably in the first half you didn't see these photos, so that's why I was doing it again. Because it's sad because we got people who don't understand, they don't read, they don't want to know, they don't want to learn. Haiti and the Dominican Republic, Black in Latin America, PBS, Black in Latin America. That guy I showed you with the glasses, he's did a documentary about that. Look at that. You see what that is? They were slaves that were put in those countries, y'all. That is what the famous Cardi. Yeah, she has parents that one parent is what Dominican, the other parent, and yeah, I don't give a hoot about them looking light skinned. There are a lot of light skin. They call them sometimes they'll use this term Creole. They use it even in Louisiana. They'll say Creole because that's another form of a mixture or admixture. Sometimes you can have the French, and then you can have that European blood in you, and then you can also have the African blood in you as well. There are a lot of people that are mixed mestizo. Yeah, you can be black and you can still have mestizo mixed. You can be mixed as a black person. So let's get out of this. Look at these people. They come in different hues, different colors, but we know that the African blood is in them, black and Dominican. It's all over the place. How can you not see this? How can you be so stupid and not see any of this? So I'm gonna see if you didn't see it, I'm gonna see if you can see what I'm looking at, because I don't know if it's showing or not, but I keep trying to share it, but this is part of it. So I keep trying to share it, and I'm gonna keep doing it until it comes out, because I don't know if people are seeing this or not. I have to keep clicking back on. But look, I'm just gonna thumb through. This is Black in Latin America, the Dominican Republic. Look at these different people. Look at how they look. You cannot say that there's no African there. It's there. It's there. Some look lighter. Look at her. Look at these people. It's there. This lady might be visiting. I don't know. It says this video sheds light on the deep racism that Black people face in the Dominican Republic. That's the reason why you get some of these entertainers that'll come here in the States and say, I'm not Black, or they'll say mean things about Black folks because they're not from this culture and they know the stigma behind it. They face a lot of racism and hatred in their country as well. There are people that don't like them either because of who they look like, because they know they have African blood in their veins. So look at this. You see this here. It's a timeline. It's PBS, Black in Latin America, Black in Latin America, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. Yes, that happened. So there is Afro Latino. So you people that are saying there ain't no Afro Latino, get out of here. There is. There is. There's a lot of Afro Latinos. They're walking around. You're looking at them every day. Here, even in America, they're here. They're everywhere, whether you like it or not. And this is what you see. And by you being mean here in the States, you're basically doing the same thing that some of the white people have been doing to them in the state where they come from. So that's why there's so much division between everybody. We don't even get along with each other here. Yeah, and I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna be honest. We don't, as Black people, we don't supposedly, quote unquote, with the government name they gave us. We don't even get along with each other here because we don't all follow the same religions. Some of us don't believe in some of these crazy, wacky religions. I'm one of them. I don't believe in all this craziness. But then you have some people, they want to hurt each other, they want to kill each other, they want to fight each other. Look at this. You can see this, my struggles as a Black American in Dominican Republic. If I gotta keep switching on back and forth to this, because some people apparently they don't read. No to the racist violence against Haitians and Black Dominicans. Do you see that? Do you see what this girl looked like holding this sign? She could say, I'm not Black, but she ain't saying that in the sign, is she? So look at this right here. Look at these people. They're protesting in these countries. Look at these people. Okay? A Black man's guide to Dominican Republic. See, these are beautiful Black women, and they're from Dominican Republic. Did I show you the Trinidad and Tobago? Soy Dominicano. I am Dominican. Okay? He may not want to come here and say he's Black. He may say, I'm Dominican. I'm not Black, but we know who he is, you know? So he embraces his culture. So that's what that is, you know? See, look at these different people. Look at this is the girl I was showing you. And where's Trinidad? Let's go back to Trinidad, because that's what this person that all these people don't like. That's what her people are supposed to be. They're saying, "Oh, she's not Black. There's no Blacks in those countries." You guys don't read anything, obviously. Whoever's doing this, and you're doing a disservice to yourselves, because some of your family might come from these places. So some of your family might come from these places, so, and that's the sad part, people that don't want to admit, look at all these people, y'all. You can see this. Okay, so blacks in what was it, Trinidad? Let's do this again. I think Nia Long was in there. But let's go to Mexican, because that's what we see a lot of out here, that people say they ain't no Afro Latino. Yes, it is. Look at this. Look at these people. You don't see that? Look at that. 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 These people, look at her. And let's go back to this girl right here. Yeah, that could be the one that she could go around and say, I'm not black. But you know what? These people, they know who they are. We know who they are. Look, black Mexicans, black Mexican sisters from Mexico. This is Mexican black people. See? They're here. I've seen people like this in Los Angeles, all over the place. So there's no such thing. No such thing. Afro Mexicans in the national census as black people. That's the government name that they give us. Negra Afro Mexicana. Look at that. So you cannot sit up here and say it doesn't exist. So you got to stop doing this, because you're not actually helping our people by doing this. There are a lot of people who are looking at you, what you're saying about this one girl. Yeah, maybe she has her own issues about her insecurity about herself, but you're letting her get to you, and you need to get out of that. And so, this is just sad, because I've witnessed a lot of this, like where people just can't get out of their feelings. They gotta fight with everybody. It's like it's a waste of time. Why fight with these people? You know. So I'm gonna leave this picture up here, because there are Afro Latinos. So don't tell me they aren't. I don't want to listen to the people that say that, because that you're full of hate. You're just as much as a hateful person as the person you're talking about that hates. So you're doing the same thing she's doing. Black visibility in Mexico, Afro Latino, Caribbean, and that exists there as well. African descendants, Afro Mexicano, Afro Mexican. This is out of the griot. You see it. You can see it, people. Nobody's blind like that. Okay? This, it says Mexico officially recognizes 1.38 million Afro Mexicans in the national census as black people. I just wanted to put that up here again, because if you didn't see it the first time I was talking about it, is here. Okay, what is Nia Long? She's what is Nia Long? Blacks in, what was it, Trinidad? Let's put this famous. Let's just do this for a minute. These are people that are well known from this country, and we say too that this one girl that people don't like, one of her parents, and I saw what her parents look like. These are famous black people that are Trinidadian, that I'm sure some people are gonna, when they see the face, they know who these people are when they see them. But you're not gonna say, "Oh, he ain't black, she ain't black." Look at this. We've seen these people. We've seen some look lighter. Well, yeah, Nia Long. Look, Hollywood actresses, actors, people who are sports entertainers, people you wouldn't even believe. You'd be like, "Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know." Yeah. Oh, let's go back to some other pictures. Let's go backwards. I know you recognize him. He's been in a lot of movies, been around for a long time. Look at these people. Very well known, famous people that are from Trinidad. And you're not running around talking about, oh, he ain't black, she ain't black. Yeah, and that's the same thing. You can see, look at how some look darker, some look lighter. So what? That doesn't mean they don't have African descent. They don't have African blood. They may not want to be labeled a certain way, And that's their opinion, that's their choice. They're right. Look at how he looks. He's light. If he might say, I don't want to call myself black. I want to call myself Trinidadian. You know, you can't get mad at them for that. You know, that's part of their culture. So anyway, let's get off of that. I just thought I would say that because it's frustrating because there are a lot of ignorant black people here in the States that they don't really understand what's going on. And a lot of this is people are sitting back watching us divide more and more and more. And some of it is over the most petty stuff. And so the more you fight with each other, the more division you cause. And it's not about dividing, because when you divide, that's how you conquer people. But when you try to come to some kind of consensus about certain things that we really should be concerned about, which there is racism and it affects all of us, there is a lot of anger and there's a lot of bitterness and there's a lot of evil people out there that affects a lot of people. So that's more the issue, the things that we should be concerned about, not over, petty fights. But anyway, more importantly, I wanted to go over. I have to keep checking back because sometimes there's different screens. But I'm trying to see if I can go back to my email. And so I was looking at something recently, and I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna go in here instead. So I'm gonna leave it on one screen for right now, and then I'm gonna go float on another screen and see if I can find it what I was looking for. So anyway, I was looking at something having to do with more serious matters in the business of rent control. Mhm. So I wanted to start with, there were two articles, two lovely articles. One, one I wanted to start with had to do with, I have a link, and so I'm trying to pull my link. That's what I'm doing, believe it or not, for one of them. Okay. So let me get out of here. All right, I'm pulling the link. Okay, I don't know if okay, I guess I'll leave that up. I have a lot of open screens. I think I'm gonna get rid of that one. It's too many screens are open. Okay. All right, let me see here. What's the screen? This is what's happening. This is an issue that I noticed that was happening. I don't know if it's gonna let me. You reach it? Yeah, see, I read so much, y'all. So anyway, I read a lot. I mean, to the point to where sometimes I can't even get into some articles. That's just how much I read. I read like a hell of a lot. Put it that way. Okay. So let's get into it. Okay, this is about Los Angeles rent control, but it's gaining momentum in a lot of places. And so, all right, this is, oh, actually, that was not the one. I think it was the one with the, okay, I think I was reading this one. Okay, I don't know if I'm showing that. If I'm not, I'm gonna go on it and show it. This is gonna be a long video, y'all. Because I started with all of those people that were mad at this one particular individual, and they can't let it go. They got to keep harping on the same individual. She likes that because you guys give her a lot of media and you got to give her a lot of airspace, and that's what she wants. So anyway, this right here has to do with more serious matters like rent control. So rent control advocates filed for a new California statewide ballot measure for 2020. So Los Angeles Business Wire, April 21st, 2019. So housing justice and rent control advocates affiliated with Housing is a Human Right, HHR, will host a press teleconference Monday, April the 22nd at 9 not p.m., but 9 a.m. to announce the launch of California's statewide ballot measure to be known as the Rent Affordability Act. Okay, so HHR is a housing advocacy division of the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. So last Friday, advocates of the housing from Housing is a Human Right filed papers with California Attorney General Office for the title and summary for the measure. The first step in the citizen initiative ballot measure process, advocates intended to qualify the measure for November 2020 presidential election ballot. AHF, housing is a human right. Okay, so that's what HHR is the abbreviation of. Um, it is providing financial support for the ballot measure. So Los Angeles out of the Business Wire. So this is basically what I noticed and come across. Also, let's see, there's another one. Okay, so and I've been staying on this. I've been kind of following it because there's something else that is going on in Los Angeles. There's a LA rent control made simple, so more tenants come under LA rent stabilization ordinance, which is called LARSO, than in any other city in California. Many rent control laws are similar, and you can get the details on each law. So some places in California don't have rent control and others do, but now the issue is really coming into play, and it is really starting to gain momentum all over across the country. So let me see if I can close a few windows and go into this window. Okay, so this right here is not going to be fun for landlords. I can tell you that. They're already complaining about it because they don't want it to go forward. But it's gaining a lot of momentum because people don't make a lot of money. Some people don't make a lot of money. The cost of living is really expensive for those who are not able to afford the high priced rents. So rent control is back on the front runner, or the front burner that is, in California, as lawmakers consider a bill that would cap the monthly increases. So this thing has really taken off. Statewide, and Governor Gavin Newsom weighs in on the support. A renter protection package is what it's called. So the push in Sacramento for rent control comes as a new effort and underway to put a rent control measure on California's ballot. Developers and landlord groups who helped defeat the rent control initiative last year are preparing for another fight. So some have suggested that rent stabilization proposals from the state legislature could worsen the California housing problem by creating incentives for builders to invest in rental units. And so you see the rent is too damn high. You see a lot of people protesting, supporters of the statewide ballot measure to repeal Costa Hawkins at an LA Hall Plaza. Okay, so this was April 23rd, 2018, Los Angeles. Los Angeles rent control is back on the front burner in California as lawmakers consider a bill that will cap monthly increases statewide. Statewide, you hear that? So they want to cap the rent. A renter's protection package is what they want to do. So it can't go up beyond 5% per year. So they want to cap the rent. So if it goes to a certain level, your rent is raised, then it can't be raised anymore. At least for the numbers, they actually want to cap it out. So they do this for people, especially this comes at a time where people need this. The people who are on fixed incomes, usually senior citizens, people who have disabilities, and people who just don't make enough money, and they could be in danger of being evicted simply because they cannot afford the rent. So the push in Sacramento for rent control comes as a new effort underway to put rent control measures on California's ballot. So it's basically says that we are adamantly opposed to this proposed ballot initiative, and we'll spend whatever it takes to defeat it. And this is coming from landlords, okay? I can tell you that that's where it comes from. Okay, developers, landlord groups who helped defeat the rent control initiative last year, they're preparing for another fight. So that's basically coming from them. They don't want to see this, but it's coming anyway. So Daniel Euchelson, executive director of the Apartment Association of Greater Los Angeles, said it is a retread of Proposition 10, which California voters soundly rejected in November of 2018. So more than 17 million Californians live in rental properties, and it's usually for the tenants to pay more than 50% of their income towards housing. So some also have linked the state's growing homelessness population to the housing affordability problem. So the California dream is in peril if the state doesn't act to address the housing affordability crisis. So Newsom said in a statement on Thursday, Democratic governor has a goal for California to add 3.5 million new housing units by 2025. He released his statement after the California Assembly's Housing and our Community Development Committee voted 6-1 in advance. So Assembly Bill 1482 is what it's called. It's a statewide rent control bill that basically that took off. So that's kind of a good thing and a step in the right direction in terms of rent control and capping the rents. So, however, some of the suggested rent stabilization proposals from state legislatures would worsen the Golden State's housing problem by creating disincentives for builders to invest in rental units. So, authored by the Democratic Assemblyman David Chu, AB 1482 would limit rent increases. This is where I come in, where I said about 5% annually plus inflation. So it also would expand protections to nearly about 15 million Californians who do not live in units subject to any rent or local rent controls, which would be South LA. So anybody that lives in Los Angeles that's in South LA, Inglewood, places like that, don't have rent control or they're having problems now where they could be evicted. Or, Inglewood is one that is having a lot of problems. In some places in South LA that don't have rent control, but they have a cap now. And then they have this thing called AB 1482 that limits rent increases at 5% annually plus inflation. So we have millions of tenants who are one rent increase away from not being able to put food on the table and get health care or at risk for becoming homeless. So Chu, the Housing Committee chair, said Thursday during the legislative hearing on the measure. So our anti-rent gouging, that's what it's. It's a bill for anti-rent gouging is a critical protection that will help renters while still allowing landlords to make a healthy return. So that's basically what landlords are in for. They get a return on their, you property values and what they're getting. So landlord groups charge that some local rent control ordinances in California started with inflation and adjusted standards similar to AB 1482, but then made it tougher for property owners to recapture rising expenses since the utility rates, trash and recycling fees, as well as property taxes and special assessments. So placing blame, of course, on rental housing industry is an easy answer. Deborah Carlton, senior vice president at the California Apartment Association, said Thursday at a hearing. She added, our concerns have always been to make sure that whatever we do, we are not going to make a bad situation worse. So we certainly don't want to scare off development as well. So these are more people that are like landlord developers kind of talk. So meantime, there's also a push to get a measure on 2020 statewide ballot in California that would allow local jurisdictions to put rental control ordinances on properties at least 15 years old. So if your property has been 15 years old or longer, if it's an old unit or old building rather, then it puts an ordinance, a rent control ordinance on it. And so now this doesn't mean the spanking new, brand new condos and lofts and things like that that have been built to the year or built like, you know, less than 15 years ago. So this is called the State Costa-Hawkins Act. Currently limits the ability of cities to apply rent control to older units. Okay. All right. The proposed initiative follows nearly 60% of California's votes in November rejecting controversial ballot measure known as Proposition 10, which some of you might be familiarized with. That was on the ballot last time. So that would have expanded local government authority to enact rent control laws, including on single family homes, townhouses, and condominiums. Okay. So, because some people rent out townhouses, condominiums, and some people rent out single family houses. So, so the government, it said that Proposition 10 would have expanded local government authority to enact rent control laws on those properties as well. So the real estate industry, including major landlords operating in California, such as Blackstone, led the fight against Proposition 10. So we agree that steps should be taken to address housing affordability in California, but virtually all independent economists agree this measure would exacerbate California's existing shortage by discouraging new construction and reducing new investment in affordability or affordable housing, said the Blackstone spokesperson in the email statement. So a new rent control initiative dubbed as Rental Affordability Act is backed by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, a Los Angeles-based nonprofit organization that donated 23 million dollars in support last year, Proposition 10. So in all, more than 100 million got spent on Proposition 10, with opponents outspending backers of the proposition. So Michael Weinstein, president of AIDS Healthcare Foundation, said the proposed new initiative is different this time because it would exempt owners with up to two residential properties. So he also rejected criticism that new rent controls would undermine the ability of the state to add new housing units. So he basically is for the people. So they have rent control in their other cities like New York, and it hasn't stopped new construction there, or even in cities like California where you have rent control, said Weinstein. Beyond that, no other how fast you construct new housing. You have to give some protection to existing tenants, or else vast amounts of lower income people will be displaced, as they have been already, or are paying 50% or more of their income in rent. And so this was kind of some good news that they're trying to work in the direction of trying to initiate rent control with an AB 1482 that limits rent increases to about 5% annually plus inflation. And so this is a big fight, and I thought this was important because we see these signs here, because this is a real, these are the things that we should be worried about. These are the things we should be talking about. These are the things that we should be concerned about, not who shot who, because we know that there are bad things that happen, and there are circumstances if you're around the wrong people. And but these are issues that affect a greater number of people right here, whether you like it or not. And so some of the people that are doing all this fighting, they might be in a situation like this. Or they might be in a situation on the other hand, they might be the person that is the one that's renting out a place. And you have to consider that not everybody is able to pay that rent. So what are you going to do? Are you going to run off, scare off your tenants? So those are issues. Those are things I think that people should really be focused on rather than, some hothead that eventually probably will play, overstay their welcome and play themselves out or put their foot in their mouth over silly stuff. But these are more important issues, you know. Um, a lot of that, fighting online over dumb stuff, those are deflectors. They take us away from the real crucial issues that affect a lot of us, that affect our futures and stuff. Things like this affect a lot of people right now. And so some of us are in these situations. We know, or we have family members in these situations that have to just make, some decisions where they're going to live because their rent is too high. And there are some people that are working on trying to find places that are more permanent so that they won't be facing these issues. And so they might be working on trying to become homeowners, in hopes that they can not be displaced. So these are more pressing issues that are more important than, what color the person's skin is, necessarily to justify whether they're this race or that race. We know we got racial issues in America. We know we got racial issues that are outside of America. That's not going to ever go away, whether you like it or not, either. So we can't really do anything about some of the individuals that want to remain, you know, whether they hate themselves or they are insecure about themselves. You know who you are. That's the way you look at it. You don't have to go home to that person, and you don't have to look at that person. You don't have to listen to their music. You don't have to subscribe to them. You don't have to click on their videos. You can ignore them. I bet you if you start ignoring them and you don't post on them anymore and you make them irrelevant and you start moving on to people who are more talented and who write their own music. Yes, I said that, and write their own music. They're more talented and they have a lot more going for them. Then you watch how you see those other people fade away. They'll fade away like all the other ones did. So anyway, with that being said, this is the things that we should be worrying about. Legislatures could worsen California's housing problem by creating disincentives for builders to invest in rental units, and that they say is not true. They say they're still building whether they have the rent control in place or certain laws in place to help renters stay in their units because they're going to build regardless because these people have money. And so the rent control battle in California resumes as landlords. They try to push to defeat proposals, but these proposals are going to stay on the table because people don't want to lose their homes. These are places where people have lived many decades. They've probably got families that have lived there. They went to school there. Some people work there. And by displacing people and making people live like in Riverside and San Bernardino, but they work in the LA area, they have to drive hours to get to work. That's unfair. So, with that being said, I'm going to let this video go. What do you think about that fight? I mean, that is more pressing. That's some of the reason why people are really struggling right now because it's not because they're not working. It's not because they don't want anything. It's because they can't afford it. And most of their money is spent on their rent and their bills. Their money's already spent before they even earn it. So, with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for listening. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I really think that people need to be more concerned about some of the real hard pressing issues that are going on in society that affect multiple people. These issues right here can affect people, and you can be from any walk of life. If you don't have the money and you can't afford it, or you don't make enough money, it can affect you no matter what skin color you are. Thanks for listening.